welcome back. And you're watching Uongozi Today here on Morning Prime. Azimio wants Ruto to withdraw finance bill and apologize to Kenyans. We'll run you by some of the recommendations that they are suggesting, 10 of them. And leaders claim the high taxes in bill will push the country into recession. And we eagerly to wait to see how they will be voting today, whether that will be made public or it will be a secret of voting. It all now depends with the Speaker of the National Assembly. And we are holding court this morning with Herman Manyora, who is a governance and policy analyst. We have Brian Weke, who is a lawyer. We have also the party leader of Green Thinking Action Party. This is Dr. Isaac Green Kalua. And also we have with us Kipruto Arap Kirwa, who is a governance and policy analyst as well. Let's buckle down to now this particular issues that we've raised here. And I would just want to begin with you, Dr. Green, especially on the resumption of the demonstrations that there is the eminence of it now returning back. How will it now scupper the whole process of, first of all, making sure that there is attraction as far as this bill is concerned? If it passes, will it be of any material utility to go back to the streets?
Debal, I think one of the greatest things and the opportunity that we have had over this period of finance bill, the greatest opportunity is that this has exposed our greatest weakness as a society, leave alone all these other things that we are talking on the side. Mm-hmm. And the greatest weakness, which is the biggest that we have had over time, is the inability to get our country to rally behind a discussion that is healthy for the good of the common person. Our guys who have done, the Gados of this world, and particularly Gado, I would say, he has brought it out very well, where the leaders are going. Instead of going forward, they're going upwards and creating challenges and difficulties for each other so that the sitting point is up there. A country can only progress, community can only progress when you have the capacity to sit down, discuss issues, the challenges that are facing the people, common person. You have seen the other one, Stano, clearly bringing it out. The poor man being forced, and the other one also a guy who is being put upside down to drop in the few coins. You know, when you're milking a cow, as I said the other day, and you notice blood coming out instead of milk, any sane person would first of all stop and ask what could be wrong. This is not the color of milk. Something is definitely going wrong. But what we are seeing as we progress in this situation, Debal, is the unwillingness to sit down and discuss issues of national importance. When you listen to the discussion of finance bill, it's not about the real issues. Actually, Mwananchi doesn't know what is contained in this finance bill. They just told it is wrong, it is not right. We are in a situation of politicking throughout. Those who are in power in one way, some of them are not taking it with humility. There are Kenyans on the other side who are expecting so much because it was promised. The opposition on the other side is also in a situation that they are not, they have an opportunity to present their issues, including picketing and all that. But is that the immediate thing that needs to be done in a country that depreciation of its own Kenya shilling is gone so bad? Now we are doing at about, if you want a dollar, it's about 141. God knows where it is going to go next. Where are we going to deal with these issues? When are we going to deal with them? If the real issues are not being let out to the people. It is fine to call for demonstration in the streets, fine. But what are you going to gain out of that during this time, at a time that things are very serious? On the other side, the government must run. There needs to be a budget. There needs to be the real issues that are supposed to be done. What is the discussion that we should be having? Is it that one of clearing a way up instead of creating a bridge so that everyone can be able to understand these issues? So my thing is that it's not about the finance bill, which I think, going by what is happening, it may pass, and it is not. The people who are supposed to be doing this are in parliament. Are they discussing? Are they communicating with our people? But the bigger thing, we have this. All this discussion presents to us an opportunity that is God-given. Corruption. There's so much money that is out there that as leaders we need to start looking at what are we going to be able to rally our people towards a situation that, you know, this money that they are talking about is your money. It's my money. This is a situation that the former Auditor General said that we are losing a third of our budget to corruption. This is a situation that has been placed by the former president, saying that we are losing 2 billion. 7 years later, from 2016, our current president has said that he's going to slay this in the best way possible. Now, it continues to eat all of us. And if this money can be saved, and in a good way, if we can rally our community in the best way possible, and it starts with one step after the other, and we'll find that every Kenyan comes to understand. It's a shame to see governors lining up at the treasury saying that we are here, we have come for our money. Money that is supposed to be obvious, that is theirs, that should be delivered. We are leaking, we are in a pain as a country. And when you see your leaders, the governor crying out that we don't have money, what does that tell you? When you hear that teachers are not getting, universities are suffering, professors in this country, they don't have a situation. Most of our universities have a big debt that they can't even be able to manage. Students are suffering. The future of this country that is supposed to take us to the next level. It means that we need to come back and start looking at reality at best, and stop talking at to each other, but talk to each other in a way that is going to help this country. We have bigger issues, bigger challenges, and we are just running away from them. And everyone, from the opposition, they are pushing their agenda. From the government, there is lack of humility. How are we going to be able to deal with these challenges when there is sugar that is poisoned, when water is poisoned, when the environment is suffering? When are we going to reconcile with each other in a way that is going to add value? These are the big issues that we need to change. And we must stop looking at things from a very low level and attack it from a higher level. A professorial point of view like Manyora would always present, and the team members who are here. And God help us to do what is right. And it starts with the individual in us.
But isn't all the issues that now we are suffering from predicated on money? There is no money at all. Even if now you want to make sure that every facet of the government is running smoothly, where do you get the cash?
But here we are.
Before just saying that, oh, there's no money to pay NHIF. Go now to the hospitals and the counties.
No money at a point when we are losing more money in corruption. And I believe my colleagues are going to bring it out in the best way possible.
Okay, let's just pick the brains of Kirwa for a moment.
Well, it's very interesting, and I like the cartoon bottom up, and you can see that is the president and his deputy holding a funny guy, the guy is supposed to access some money and to produce money into that particular plate, and it is worrying that we are making payment of taxes punitive in the sense that while it's supposed to be sort of voluntary, and every Kenyan must be made to realize the responsibility of paying taxes, we are making it look like Kenyans are crooks. They want to run away with money, and we are now spending 1.2 billion to chase after them. And this therefore means even those who want to pay taxes willingly, nobody is ready to assist them so that they comply with the process. The process is simple, but you can make it complicated if you are suspecting your own citizens are stealing. Now, the second issue is we've been saying corruption. The main challenge with corruption is that elections have become expensive. The first time I had a chance to be a member of parliament, I spent perhaps less than 200,000.
Oh.
And today, if you want to run in the same constituency, you must be ready to spend close to 20 million. And this therefore means people have to look for that money. And therefore, at the presidential level, you cannot run if you don't have 3 billion. Otherwise, it will not be a serious campaign. You will not even be able to pay your agents sufficiently, produce posters, do publicity, and many other things. This therefore means that any government any administration in power today must look for ways of sustaining itself. That's why yesterday, and I think the day before, there was flash headlines that the fertilizer that was supposed to be given to farmers was being rebacked in some go-downs here in Nairobi. Fertilizer worth almost 500 billion shillings, and therefore means many farmers lost the opportunity to get that fertilizer. There is a question of poisoned sugar. Why is it still in town? If it was supposed to be turned into ethanol, or it was supposed to be destroyed, why haven't we destroyed it? And that was something that happened in 2018. It means some people have been safeguarding that sugar with not so innocent purposes. Finally, it's also the food that is meant for relief was also being rebacked in the same go down. It tells you corruption is still in town. The people whose money ended up in some private person, 300 million for the fertilizer that was supposed to be distributed in April. What happened about that particular case? So corruption is still here. And therefore, the 2 billion that we are supposed to save by stopping corruption is still going to be pilfered into some people's pockets for purposes of the next election. The third issue that is also important is the question of the question of these parastatals. Yes, the parastatals are there, and I'm happy the president has taken a U-turn by saying it must go through parliament, because that is, anything else could have been an illegality, and I'm happy he was able to listen to the cries of the public. Now, critical is what Dr. Green was saying. Public participation meant that you are supposed to bring certain amendments to that bill, and I do hope that those amendments will be brought so that the contestation is not in the chamber. It should be the committee of, I think, Kuria. Yes, I think Kimani Kuria, the chair, that was listening to the views of the public. So many memoranda were brought. I hope he has captured the essence of that. If he has not captured the essence of that, we are destroying this country. Domestic borrowing that the outgoing governor is talking about means money for you and I to borrow to do business is going to be taken away by the government. And that's why many banks cannot give you money now unless you meet certain stringent conditions, because the best borrower is the government of the day, because it is bound to return that money with certain interest, with least risk of default. That, to me, is something that should be worrying. And finally, is the question of insurance. The federal definition of insurance is to restore you in the original state as close as possible. Now, you break your leg, and you are supposed to be compensated 1 million, possibly to mitigate certain measures that you cannot meet immediately. Then the administration comes and takes 160, and they have not broken their legs. So it worries me every day that even the insurance money for somebody whose car has been damaged, and you know, like the bicycle is the bicycle of 500,000 shillings is to many of us is the best vehicle that you can access. If you have 500,000, somebody like Haman will have a nice car and he will drive it home and he'll be happy. So if we are getting to that level, it means we have lost a chance to listen to the people. And I've said this administration, their main problem is not lack of experts, is lack of effective communication and lack of capacity to listen. There are many civil servants, I know them, who are feeling frustrated today because they know what should be done, but nobody is listening to them. That is what is worrying me.
Right. Amon Mayora.
You see, this guy is talking about there's no corruption in this country. It's raw theft.
Okay.
Robbery. Example taking subsidy fertilizer and taking a go down to repart. Is that corruption?
Robbery.
That's cheap theft. Raw theft. And these people you call corrupt fellows, you just arrest them one morning, take them to court, and in the evening they are going to commit, because it's not corruption. Corruption is a web. It's complex. This is just fertilizer, kidogo, divert, repackage. Now, the bar. Me, I'm not even bothered about the finance bill. I'm bothered about whether we are going in the right direction. And I've been saying this for a while now, that we have a very clear option as a people to move in the direction of progress and join the League of Nations, like Singapore did, and give our people the highest possible standards of life befitting the 21st century. The other option, which seems to be what we want, is to remain a poor, dirty, third world country where people die from the simplest of diseases which used to kill people 300 years ago. Diarrhea. You know, child mortality. You know, people dying from hunger. Children going to schools, you wonder, are these schools? Are these children Kenyan children? People living in abodes like Kibra, Madare, Korogosho. How do you, as a leader even, share a country with people like those? And you call yourself a leader. What kind of leader? You are not a leader. And let me tell you this. When Dr. Green and Kirua and these big people go to Europe, you know those guys just see you as monkeys. They know you are useless. The only reason why they can't tell you is because they're exploiting you. You get it? So the beginning point for this country, whether it's the finance bill or whatever it is seriousness. We have to be serious and choose very clearly. And from wherever you sit in the institutions of governance, that gives you the power, the place to arbitrate, to help this country move forward. Do so knowing that the future of this country is in your hands. Look at Metangula. Look at the courts, this thing of Sabina Chege. You can't do this thing and expect to move forward as a country. Only foolish people do this kind of things. You get what I'm saying? Certain things must be settled once and for all. And because we are not serious, even raising revenue is a big problem. We believe the only way you can raise revenue for the country is to tax people and actually overtax them and then borrow. Who tells you that's the only way you can? How did China make its money over the years? When we thought they were dead, they were quiet. Why were they? They were saving. And now look at how we are going to beg them. This country can make money in other ways, generate revenue in other ways other than taxes and the borrowing. This country can do business. You know that? China is doing business. All these construction companies that come here, those are government contracts. Chinese bridges, what? Those banks, those are government banks that are companies that are doing business in Africa. They are not private, most of them are public companies. You get what I'm saying? But you see, when we have parastatals, we use them just to eat money and laugh around. And these parastatals should not be sold. They should begin to earn revenue for Kenyans. We should look at other avenues. The resources God has given us. Do we ever get anything out of them? These monies are green. Even forest alone. We have millions of trees. Have you checked in the books of government and seen any money there the government has made from those trees? We have this wildlife. Who tells you we must listen to some Wazungu girls from UK and America to tell us how to burn ivory out? No. We have to figure out there are things which God put here for us and our children. How can we get this to help this country move forward? So the bottom line is not even the finance bill. Because the bottom line is, are we ready to be serious? If you say, you are saying there's no money, when you look at government, does it look like government that doesn't have money? A PS was stopped from going out because she had been sacked. What did we hear about the delegation? Do you remember? A huge delegation that included a gym trainer and a hairdresser. A poor, dirty third world country. A delegation of 60 people. When they say this is a UN meeting or this is a whatever meeting, Kenya is allowed 12 delegates, but Kenyan delegation 140. So those basically are just going to hang around there. And I've given this small example. Even the president moving across the country, praying is good, but you know how much money it costs for a president to move around the country? Let nobody lie to you. If you open the books of government, how much money the president and his team would spend every Sunday moving around the country. These things do not inspire confidence. These things do not show a country that is aware that we've gotten to a point, if we don't take care, we will collapse as a country.
No, Ranweke, we think you hold this view we are collapsing as a country, or the reality as well is that the debt that is with us is also beholden because we are beholden by the Bretton Woods institutions at the end of the day.
You know, Dibal, I was just listening to Prof here, and I was laughing because every Kenyan will quote for you Singapore. How Singapore in the 70s, 60s, they were the 60s, they were the same level with us.
It began with Prof.
No, even the current president.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's talking about it.
Everyone is talking about it.
Yes.
And there is a video that has been doing rounds, and it's talking again about Singapore and how Singapore managed to reach where it is. And they say the reason why Singapore is where it is because of 3 pillars. And the first pillar is meritocracy. In very simple terms, meritocracy means that you get the right people for certain positions. Like you get in this country, look at the quality of ministers that have been appointed. Look at the quality of PSs that have been appointed. And I want to answer Herman Manyora. If you have Minister for Education, like you're the one you've seen with a shirt, a nice suit in the front and the back is torn, I can tell you for a fact you will get no progress. If you have the Minister for Public Service, the quality of the ministers that you have, and I can quote each and every ministry, there is a lack of meritocracy. If you're asking for progress, I can assure you, Herman Manyora, I want to confirm to you, nothing will happen. No progress will happen. Number 2, that video talks about pragmatism. If something has worked, why do you have to change it? If it ain't broken, don't fix it. If it is broken, look for what has been done somewhere and implement it. Simply, that does not happen in this country. The third pillar is honesty. That Dibal we will not discuss here, because what we have is everything but honesty in this country and in this government. You're told that in June, gas will be 300 bob. You and I know that there is nothing. You're told that we are not subsidizing consumption, we are subsidizing production. When you tax fuel at 16% VAT, that is, if you look at the chain of value chain, the chain of production, fuel virtually does everything. The cost of power, the cost of transport of goods from the shamba to the place, cost of bringing input to the shamba, cost of that value chain. Then you tell us here that you're subsidizing production. If when you reach a level where you want to tax a child that has just been born, an infant, you're charging them 16% on formula milk. Surely Dibal, we've lost it as a country. Do you know why Kibaki collected taxes and the people were happy? It's a very simple, Dibal. The country is like a chama. You, Professor Manyora, Dr. Green, myself, Kirwa, we sit and we say, let's contribute. And you're happy to do it. Now, you have a country where Manyora is pulling this way, you're pulling that way, and you feel that you will use retribution to collect taxes by force and make it legal so that you can collect taxes. We are losing the point as a country. You have to sell to the people, to the chama members. We are chama members. Dibal, you are a chama member. President William Ruto is the chairman of that chama, but he has to listen to members. Raila Odinga is a member of that chama. Listen to him. Manyora is a member. I'm a member. That is how you collect taxes. Now, when you use force, when you want to use certain unorthodox means to collect taxes, then you're losing it. You're definitely losing it as a country. Now, look at what Kiro is saying. That is robbery. The money, a piki guy has been hit by a car. His piki is broken. His leg is broken. The guy receives 700,000 to fix his piki and to compensate him because he cannot now ride his piki. Then you take away 16% of his insurance money.
Money for his leg.
Motor vehicle tax, these PSVs, they have moved from 2,400 to 5,000. That is over 100% increase in tax. You know, I think there is a problem in this country. And I have seen the way these guys operate. Now they've made it about the housing levy. That is such a small thing. You, the media, and the government propaganda, they want to make it that this finance bill is about the housing levy. Housing levy is a very small component of this thing. Then, of course, after that, you will see, they will discuss, then they'll bring it down to 1.5. Then say, we have scored. Housing levy, you know, housing levy, the reason why you're seeing it's popular is because now the elite, who we keep on telling them, stand up, wake up, do something, choose wisely. They sit and say, here, like Professor and myself, and analyze politics. Now they've realized that they are coming for their pay. That is a very small issue within this finance bill. There are very serious retrogressive provisions of this finance bill that we need not to entertain in this country. And I can tell you for a fact, I have not been going to the streets. If this thing goes through, Manyor, I don't know, you will not see me here.
Yes, you will go.
I'll be leading the demonstrations.
Okay.
If it goes through.
Yes.
But there's a likelihood there will be an amendment, because I think also they mentioned...
This is what he's saying. You know, leaders are clever. They always do something, then they come out as magnanimous by varying things, withdrawing others, 3% to 1.5. These are games that have been played over and over.
So that will be the optic.
Yes.
We suspect it will sail through.
Yes.
And then the president will not really assent to it.
Yes.
They'll take it back to parliament with this, some of this.
No, they can even have some amendments.
Okay.
So let me say this, Debal. I think there is hope. The discussions that have been going around in the public, in the country, be it on this kind of a forum or others, very important issues have been raised, very important concerns, and the importance of consultation and public participation. That is for clear. The second thing is that there is nobody in the world who would be so silly to allow a house that they are in to come down stumbling. So I want to believe God loves this country, and those who are in power are listening, and they are not deaf in terms of understanding what it is. And of course, if they are, time will tell, and the house will fall when they are inside. So I want to imagine that they are listening. I believe they are. And the reason that I would say that, and it's always good to give benefit of doubt, even when you are at the worst point of view. One, I have heard the president talk about reconciliation of late, talking about the need to reconcile, the need to deal with issues. Give it to him. He is very passionate about anything he does. As to whether he has a good team to support and to be as passionate as it is, I think there is a lacking, let's agree, there is a lacking void. The president is extremely passionate. That passion is not found in the team members that he is working with. And this is something that I want to suggest that it be worked on, so that there is that possibility. The second thing that the president has done, and umpteenth times of late, is the fact that he says, I am taking responsibility. If something goes wrong, the buck stops at me. And those are very important words and very committing, that we need to start looking at what does that mean. Because I have said it here before. Get a president even from the moon to come and lead this country in the way that we are, zero. There will be no change. For as long as we are thinking of those instantaneous activities that the world is going to change, it's going to take very big decisions that also the president has talked about, and any leader worth their test is about to talk about. Hard decisions that must be made. The only thing is that this must be passionately taken up by everyone who believes to be in the same house in a direction that is going to lead us to where it is. We need to allow each other. Do you know we are 10 months going to 1 year after the government came to power? And we are still in a campaign mode. On one side, the opposition has not allowed the government to do what they are supposed to do. And of course, they are doing what they are supposed to do. Opposition is supposed to put the government in check. And on the other side, we have started seeing almost open campaigns on a daily basis. We can't work like that in the country. We need to give each other space. We need to allow situations to happen. This does not mean that when something is wrong, you don't talk about it. No. It means we need to carry each other in a way that is leading this country to a better situation. Then we must allow ourselves to give ourselves hope. The way we are operating, when you look at every side of the divide, it's like the country is coming to a standstill, everything has gone wrong. I don't think so. I believe that there is a way that everyone can play a role. What we have been said has been listened to, and there is a direction that I believe, whether on the finance bill, at the implementation stage, there is going to be a lot of caution, because you must carry everyone. And there is a lot of information on the same document in the finance bill that is totally unprecedented in this country, that is going to open up. They are extremely good things, but who knows about them? The bad things, can they be corrected? At which time are they going to be corrected if they are that bad as presented? Because it is expertise or expert decision or discussion that may not be understood by the people on the ground. We need to be tolerant of each other. We need to work towards reconciliation, deliberate reconciliation. It's not something that is going to work. It's not that because this guy is not in government that things are not happening. No, we need to work towards that. It takes a deliberate move. It's not about the leader. It's not going to make a change even if anyone came from anywhere else to become the president. It's the hearts, it's the direction of what we must be able to do. Everyone is hungry. Everyone is losing. There is high cost of living, and we must be able to look at how, where, when, and who is going to help us in their own little space towards a bigger picture.
Well, I wanted just also to latch on the issue that I think you've broached just in passing regarding the parastatals themselves. And you are of the opinion that we should actually, maintain these parastatals. They should not be sold. But people have been raising questions regarding some of the parastatals that are in there. Right now, I can see the government is trying to bail out Kenya Broadcasting Corporation and also Posta. In times when now we need the money, we're in dire need of that money. We cannot even think about bailouts as it is right now. But looking at the 265 parastatals that we have currently, some of them you are not even aware about them. Some of hotels in this country that are run by government, that you look at them, they're just run of the mill as it is right now. Why will they be? The taxpayer should actually be funding or making sure that these parastatals are sustained.
Why?
Could we go? The major way? The report is it is actually gathering dust somewhere in the upper reaches of government right now. Yet, when we're talking about austerity measures, this is what this particular regime or government was trying to proffer to Kenyans, that we're going to make sure we pare down, even on our spending, 300 billion shillings. But that now has spiked by almost double of that amount. They have 600 billion shillings on top of it. And I wanted just to finish up by asking, a parastatal like the National Oil Corporation losing 4 billion shillings every year, why would we be having it as a parastatal?
Dibal, running of government is a science, and it's also an art. A science in the sense that all systems must move at certain corresponding speeds, but they must synchronize in a way that they are able to make the best out of their output. And therefore, these parastatals are making losses not because they were designed to make losses. There are people who refuse to manage them, and there are certain decisions that are taken at certain times that has a lot of impact on other institutions. Take, for example, universities. Today, universities are reeling in serious debt because of certain decisions that were taken by the government about the examination system, where we reduced a number of students getting A's, as if it's a crime to get an A, to 131 in the whole country. And therefore, we sort of starved public institutions, the other line of revenue. And that revenue, therefore, and the system had already gotten bloated. Many universities had already had so many campuses, and instead of rationalizing them and doing it systematically, it was a decision that somebody announces in the morning without checking the implication of all that. Now, when it comes to these parastatals, are they really making losses, or are they made to make losses? The answer is they are made to make losses. And therefore, when those losses are there, instead of saying we want to do away with them, why don't we get the best persons to turn around these institutions? Why are we duplicating? For example, the Ministry of Trade was almost responsible for distribution of this fertilizer. Now they are saying they are building go-downs in certain industrial parks in almost all the counties. And yet the National Cereals and Produce Board has 110 depots distributed throughout the country, and they could be doing what they want to do under the Ministry of Trade. What reason are we having to duplicate? There is already an existing facility, and you want to build another facility instead of improving the current facility, fine-tuning it, allowing it to do what it ought to do. Then you are creating another line of business. Third, and the most important, is that the challenge in Kenya is leadership. It is leadership in the sense that in marketing they say under promise, over deliver. This regime over promised. They had a raft of promises. And today, why I was saying their manifesto should be turned into a policy document is to be able to scale down some of the promises and fine-tune them in a way that they are deliverable. But if you are still living on the manifesto, saying we promise this, we must deliver the same, it is not doable because we do not have enough money to do all those things. And finally, on that particular issue, is that the definition of leadership is not so complex. It has so many definitions, but the simplest of definitions of leadership is the ability to listen. And when you are listening, you are doing some kind of simulating all that information with a view to integrating it and having effective delivery of the issues of the listener. This administration has no capacity to listen. They think they know, even the things they don't know. And in most cases, they don't know because they are politicians. Before I joined the Ministry of Agriculture, I had this mistaken notion that I knew everything in the ministry. And when I got into that ministry, it took me almost a year to understand the systems and allow it to move. And I've said it before. My ministry was #1 in the first performance contracting of Kibaki administration. Why? I listened to the officers. I implemented what I thought was good. I led, and they did the job. Some of them are people who had been rejected that, oh, these were KANU fellows. There's no Azimio fellow. There's no KANU fellow. When it comes to public servants, the ones you find in the office, use them. They know what they are supposed to be doing. And they change loyalty, whether they were supporting Azimio They are now Kenya Kwanza workers. Don't suspect public servants. That's why you are spending 1.2 billion that you are spying on people who are not collecting taxes or people who are not paying taxes because you are suspicious from the beginning. You see, if you live by undermining others, and there are leaders in this country, they have survived by undermining somebody, then they have been undermining. Now, when you reach the top of the ladder through undermining, you get suspicious that everybody is undermining you, and you start fighting back, and therefore you are not looking forward, you are looking backward. This is the challenge that we have as a country. You've been undermining, you've gotten to the top, either of Parastatal ministry or the top of the nation, you have nobody to undermine. And therefore you think everybody is undermining you, even when they mean well. I want to repeat, public servants are loyal to the government of the day. And they are not interested in Azimio or anything. But if Azimio takes over tomorrow, they will be serving the same Azimio. So it is something that we must come out of this cocoon that we are suspecting Kenyans. You are sucking some of them, not because of what? Because of your Azimio leanings in the past. I'm not a public servant. Therefore, being in Azimio or not being in Azimio does not matter, but I'm crying for the public servants who feel they are being intimidated, they are being threatened instead of being listened to.
We had also Brian Wakin talking about meritocracy.
Yes.
And we can look at meritocracy in this government as it is right now and question the aspect of some of the faces that have been put to sit on the cabinet secretaries' seats as well. The Constitution, first of all, does not give much credence in terms of meritocracy. Just a moment, when it comes to some of the seats, that you don't need any degree for you to be, for instance, a cabinet secretary.
Yes.
And legislators that have been on this table advancing that particular argument that no, there is nowhere in the Constitution where that is a requirement. We have the contentious CAS as well. We don't know if you need to be a degree holder at the end of the day. My question is, why then should we be bashing the government on meritocracy, yet there is such a leeway on the Constitution to appoint these people? And at the end of the day, as you said, you did have much, you didn't know your onions in running some of these ministries like the agriculture, but we had technocrats. So if you have a fully fledged, well-equipped technocrats for certain ministry, why wouldn't the CS just be a ceremonial face?
See, that may as well be the case. But at the core of this problem is what he said, which I disagree with, that even if some president came from heaven. Look, here, countries that have had
well, I didn't use heaven.
Near miraculous.
I was very careful. I didn't use heaven.
Somewhere you say that from the moon. Yes. Countries that have had near miraculous development, where you look back and say, God, what is all this? At the root of everything is leadership. And leadership must be visionary. Somebody with a vision to change society or his country. Okay? And again, not to agree. One right man in State House will change everything in this country.
Correct.
That's exactly what I
arrived in
drove
State
to
House
say.
at 9 o'clock, at 1 o'clock after swearing in. The swearing around. No.
The question is, where will you be arriving from?
If I arrived from Kasarani or
Where will you be arriving from to get
from Kasarani after eating the Bible?
You see, now you are getting it all wrong.
I
How
want
can
to
you
tell you
some words just withdraw Bible, heaven from all this? Let's discuss everything else but that. Yeah.
They swear by the Bible. That's what I mean.
Yeah, well, not eating. Then.
That's what
That is direct translation.
So what I'm saying is, the day I arrive in State House, everybody knows this country is going to change. It can't be the same. The following morning. So when you talk about Parastatals, let's talk about universities. Somebody talk about the universities. I come from the University of Nairobi. I just invite applicants. If you know you can share my dream. And my dream is a university as big as the University of Nairobi should not come for 1 shilling from government.
Yeah.
So, if you share in my dream, come with your proposal. We shall take breakfast with you. I'll look at it and say, come back after 30 days. When you come back after 30 days, show me how the University of Nairobi will make 50 billion while remaining focused on its core mandate and philosophy. Those are 10 people. 9 of them may come, or only one will come. That is sort of seriousness, because I'm saying, unless we are serious, let's not just talk about the meritocracy. It is a serious issue. Countries that have succeeded long discovered the bar, long discovered. But that for every job or task available, you give to the best man or woman. That's why they are where they are. We think just about anybody can do anything. So when people talk about cabinet, they are not against anybody. They are just saying, when you look at some of these ministers, does this person look like he can be a CS? Even before he opens his mouth. And once you run away when he begins to talk. The sort of seriousness I'm talking about is for this country to know one fundamental truth. The world is moving at a rate and at a speed where if you do not mainstream knowledge, and the corona should have been an eye open. You know how corona came? We are lucky because it affected everybody. Another pandemic will come that affects only a black skin. We will all die. I was hoping that after this corona, this government will put aside 50 billion for research. That's what I thought. Because the world is changing and big challenges are coming up. And that's why we are saying the seriousness must be reflected when you are forming cabinet, when you are hiring technocrats at top there. Okay? Look for the best the country can afford, even as you reward loyalty. You don't tell me if you want someone from the Kalenjin, you can't get a capable person. If you want a woman, you can't tell me you can't get a capable woman. It can't be so and so. I don't want to mention them. You see, if you want someone from the coast, this country long past the stage where some communities, look, Turkana, you might think, Akuro Okota Nataba, polished young man. So where is it you can't get a capable Kenyan? Man, woman, disabled, youth, anything. And that's the direction we must walk. I can assure you the bar. If we think we can have it any other way, this country will collapse. And our watch, it will collapse. Because, let me tell you this. Look at the cost of living today. It's very easy for Raila to use this finance bill because of the cost of living and cause trouble for the country. That's not true. But look here, while the government knows very well these challenges are hurting Kenyans, they are determined to do nothing about it. But who unto them? Supposing certain factors now come from outside, beyond their control. Supposing international crude oil go up by 40%, 30%. They have done that the last 5 years. They do that. The dollar is now playing in the 140. Supposing it gets to 180. Supposing crude oil prices go up. Supposing this Ukraine-Russian war affects the grain market the way we are fearing it might. So that those factors are factors beyond your control. And yet, when there are factors within your control local, you done nothing about them. So Kenyans will not understand when the mafuta now is 350 shillings per liter. Because when you had time and opportunity and the capacity to make life bearable for Kenyans, you didn't want. Now that issues are coming in, kuangukia kama bricks, they can't be with you. So what I'm saying is this country will need to take one step back and think through the challenges we are facing. And there is no shortage of capable men and women. I used to be a union official. Then we were in dispute, this salary thing is called CBA. Then I landed at the Minister of Labor, the economic division. The sort of brains I saw there, say, this one in this country.
Yeah.
When we had this corona thing, you saw those people like that lady, I don't know, called who, could you have believed we have that capacity? And Kemri is telling the government, with some little support, after you vaccine to the door.
Yeah.
Kemri is partnering with serious institutions across the world, big universities, to do research. This country has the potential to move forward, but we must stop the pettiness and the cheapness we so much celebrate on a daily basis.
Right. On that particular note, allow me just to take a short break, and when we circle back, we'll hear from Baran Weke and also look at the sugar sector. How can we streamline this particular sugar sector in this country with the problem that is ongoing, the contaminated sugar, and looking at also the
fractions and the fragmentation that is happening within that particular sector, as it is with the issue of zoning and Ugandan being employed here with Mumias and the bailout of this particular sugar industries as well. What is bedeviling? Have we been navel-gazing on that particular product? And can Kenyans also teach these industries a lesson? If all of us here on this table, we say we don't take sugar, at least we starve ourselves for the next 1 month or 2 months not taking sugar. Don't go to the supermarket and buy sugar. None of you will die, will you? Right?
In fact, it's good, it's healthy.
It is healthy.
I don't take
Yes.
sugar.
Well, do you think that will cost correct, that particular sector? It's just a thought anyway.
Yeah. It has worked like that elsewhere.
It has worked like that as well.
It helped in the struggle for India's independence.
How did you do that?
Yeah, they were asked to boycott certain products.
So, okay.
Yeah.
And sugar was one of it.
No, I think the textile and things of that nature.
All right, but yeah, we take a short break. When we circle back, we primarily gaze on that as well and see how we can actually try and salvage the sugar sector, I should say, in the country that is going down the drains. Don't go away. Sugar.